Thanks for listening to this episode from Audio Feedback in Higher Education. You're about to hear actual audio feedback I gave to a student. I've removed their identity, which means the recording will start mid-sentence as I normally open with, "Hello student XYZ, here is feedback on ... This episode is audio feedback on a draft assignment, hence the feedback focuses on how to improve the assignment. This example also illustrates how audio feedback enables me to spend time answering questions the student has appended to their draft. Here it comes. Thanks for your draft on Ben & Jerry's looking at strategic fit, which I found it to be an interesting read, and I've just been mulling over now what kind of guidance I can give you. You've asked a few questions. I'm going to try and provide some answers. I think I find the essay is interesting, and obviously I'm very pleased. We've talked about getting some data, and you've done very well to get some observations, which is very helpful for the essay. My guidance to you would be to reread the assignment brief and the approach there, and just look to see how you can better adjust the essay to better fit the approach that I've requested. So I've asked you to look at the three questions. Fine, you've got to answer those three questions, and I don't think you are fully looking at all those three questions. In particular, you're not looking at how the different echelons of the supply chain, so the three different, when we did it in the lecture, I followed the same idea as in the Chopra book, where they say, okay, the supply chain, we can divide the supply chain into three segments: the upstream, the middle, and the downstream. So downstream is in the retail, let's say, and the upstream's all the way to the factory, and so the middle is the sort of distribution process. And the question is, which of those three parts is coping well or not with the uncertainty? And I think here, in your case, you're pointing to a problem at the retail end, where the retail end has not got a lot of capacity to hold product, and it may be that retailers are not choosing to hold many flavors, so they're choosing to hold a few flavors only, stock a few flavors, and therefore the retail is a problem. The retail is a problem for the supply chain. So that area is not able to cope with responsiveness, or at least if there is a demand from the market for all these flavors and so on, then the retail is perhaps being the block here is blocking it and constraining the supply chain to actually be responsive, let's say. That could be an insight there. So if you go to the approach, it does say map the implied demand uncertainty to the echelons in the supply chain, and so that's the three stages. So go back to the lecture, and you can re-listen to that, and also look in the book and just check what that means. Okay, so that's one thing. Also, in the guidance on the assignment, it talks about create a list of the relevant responsiveness factors, and this goes back to one of your questions. You're saying, did I include enough criteria for the assessment of responsiveness? And I think this is where you could be more specific and say, okay, looking at the Chopra book and looking at the Reichard and Holweg article, the key factors of importance, the key responsiveness factors of importance to Ben & Jerry's, identify what those are, and then consider, try to assess those in some way. So I'm looking for you to draw out what are the key factors here in terms of responsiveness, and is it that you think they need to be flexible in their manufacturing, or is it that they need to be good in managing their inventory? What is the important thing to making them responsive there? And then and then try to give some comment on them. Now, I realise it's not easy to evaluate it because you've only got limited information, and you correctly point out you've got limited information, and I don't mind that. That's a reality. That's very difficult to find in-depth information. But I would like you to sort of say, well, these, if I was running Ben and Jerry's, then these would be the responsiveness factors that would be important to the company. If you're able to identify those. And also, if you could make it a bit clearer in the demand uncertainty, the implied demand uncertainty, again, what actually makes up the implied demand uncertainty? What is creating the implied demand uncertainty? You do talk about seasonality. You do say it's limited, but just make it obvious how you are. What factors you think are contributing to the implied demand uncertainty. So make it very obvious. Okay, so I think overall, yes, my guidance to you would be to see if you can make your essay fit a bit better to the assignment brief, and so you're ticking off all of the components in the assignment brief. That will help me, because if I want to give you a good mark, I need to be able to say, yeah, this assignment does actually do as it was asked to do. Okay. Okay, so let's look at your specific questions. You provided draft essay. You need your references later. Right. Good. Do I need to enough criteria and assessment of responses? Yes, I do think you need to be more specific in what you are. You may be addressing the right things, but just make it very obvious what factors you are using. Are there enough data of the assessment strategic fit? Well, you're using as much information as you've got, and you are having to make assumptions. So I understand that, and I think some of your points are correct. I mean, you're coming to the conclusion that maybe they're not in the right place, and I think that's the correct conclusion, because of there's so few of their products are available. There's something not going right there. Should I discuss the efficiency of my essay, or are my conclusions correct? No, you don't really need to get into in that too much. I think. I mean, you need to sort of say whether you think they. I think you've got enough there. You've got enough there to so far. So you've got a lot of good stuff here. You've got a lot of good stuff. I just think it's making it fit the assignment brief, and that part where you're saying where is it in the supply chain? Is it the upstream, the downstream, or the middle part of the supply chain are they all doing okay, or is one actually a bit of a problem area, and so on? That's something to discuss. I hope that makes sense. I know I've rambled on a bit. I hope that makes sense. But I will stop there and send this to you.